Okay. Is there anywhere in Belize at all any longer that you can buy something and purchase real estate for under 100,000, where you find these really great deals where
Sure.
you're right near the beach or you can walk right down to the beach?
Yes, yes. And I'm hesitating a little bit because it's not always beach, right? I think sometimes people think Belize and they're always thinking beachfront, but there are really great parts of the country that aren't necessarily beachfront or beach communities, like the Cayo district, for example. There you can find real estate for 125,000, brand new home, right? Two-bedroom home on half an acre of land. That's definitely possible, right? But if you're trying to find that beachfront property, you can find condos every now and again here on Ambergris for 100, 110,000. You can find them.
Hi, can I ask you a favor? Adventure Freaks is growing, but most of you watching haven't subscribed yet. If you enjoy this content or find it helpful, hit that subscribe button. It's free and it really helps us continue to bring you more tips and ideas for living better abroad. All right, so today we're heading down to the beautiful country of Belize with my friend Rachel Jensen. Rachel, how are you?
Oh, I am doing great. I will tell you, Ray, I just got back from New York, and I'm here in
Ooh.
Belize now. I'm on Ambergris Key, and the weather is probably like low 80s. And in New York, it was like 18 degrees, snowy. And it's perfect for Christmas, right? But by day two, my family and I were all getting the sniffles, and we are all bundled up in our jackets and all the layers of socks on, and we're like, okay, we're ready to go back
Yeah.
home now.
Well, do you remember? It's just like you and I, we grew up in the north, and it's just like it's just you get used to the cold, and you get and you're comfortable with the cold, or I don't know if that's the right word, but you just become accustomed
Normal.
to it, and then you
Yep.
get down and you live in a place like Belize for as many years as you do have, and then you go back, and it's just like okay, like 3 or 4 days of this is good, but I'm chilled all the time.
It was chilly. It was really chilly. And leaving, I never left New York for the weather, right? I never said, oh, the weather's so bad in New York. I actually really enjoyed the four seasons. And it was fun to have the different outfits for fall and summer and do your winter clothes shopping and all of that, right? But I've been in the Caribbean and Belize now for 13 years. And I will tell you, after being here for 13 years, being in this warmer climate where it hardly ever goes below 65 degrees, oh my, it was like 50 degrees in New York one of the days. And I was like, oh my gosh, it must be like 13 degrees. It's freezing. And I
Yeah.
looked at the thermometer. I was like, oh, nope, I'm just have really thin blood now, apparently.
I, that's very true because it can be like 35, which back then was not cold. Back
Right,
then, back in the
right,
day, it wasn't cold. But now when you
right.
live in the warmth all the time and you experience 35, you're like, holy cow, is this cold? This
And
is frigid.
oh, it's horrible. And you know what the worst is? Coming out of the shower, and if you have like the tile floors, right? And
Yeah.
if you on the tile floor when you're wet and you're
Yeah.
and you don't have that overheater lamp and you're shivering and then you're just running to get clothes on and here we have the complete opposite where like you get out of the shower and you're like, all right, like, ooh, I'm still warm. Where's the air conditioner? But
Right.
it's totally different. But you know what? It's great to be going back and visiting family. It's the nice part about being in Belize, and there's direct flights now to New York, and to Newark, and JFK, so we can get up there in 3.5, 4 hours, and then come right back when it starts getting too cold for us.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. You got the best of both worlds. When you're dreaming of a white Christmas, you can just get on a plane and go see it. Well, Rachel, here's the thing. Okay, so this is our second podcast, so thanks so much for doing this again. This is great. Um, what makes Belize really unique and desirable, and I think it's going to do, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be moving to Belize in 2026. And I'll tell you why. Mexico has really increased their income requirement to move there. And I haven't done a lot of videos lately on Mexico because of that. It's so high that many people that watch these videos just can't qualify to obtain residency anymore there. It's different in Belize, and Belize offers really a lot for what you get. And the other aspect to Belize for a lot of retirees is that it's the only English speaking country in Central America and below Mexico. It borders Mexico, but it's the only English-speaking country. So transitioning to Belize is pretty easy, and a lot of people like that. Uh, Not sure which country is the best fit for your move abroad? The Ideal Destination Finder takes the guesswork out of the process. It's a customized 22-question assessment that reveals your top 3 destinations based on your lifestyle, priorities, and budget. Instead of spending months researching and second guessing, you'll get a clear, personalized shortlist to guide your next step abroad. And it could save you thousands by avoiding the wrong move. You can get started now at adventurefreaks.com. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see the Ideal Destination Finder on the left. Just click it and start the assessment. I also put the link in the description, or you can click the QR code above. Now let's get back to the video. But first, let's start with your backstory. You're from the US. You've been down there for 13 years. Let's just, who are you? Where are you from? And why did you leave the US? How did you choose Belize?
Sure. Well, I was never the person who was leaving the US to get to better weather, right? Like I was saying, I actually really did enjoy the Four Seasons, and my whole family is in New York and the Northeast area. So I was not necessarily trying to get away from them or trying to get away from the cold, but I just had a remarkable job opportunity come up in 2012. And it was an opportunity to work with a real estate developer that was based throughout Latin America. They had headquarters in Managua, Nicaragua, and then had properties in Belize, Costa Rica, Panama. I had studied Spanish in school, Spanish and biology. And I thought, well, this is a great time for me to be able to practice my Spanish, go move abroad, spend a few months there. And I only thought it was going to be a 3-month stint, honestly. It was an internship. And so I thought this 3-month internship, go down to Nicaragua, go down to Belize, go check out these different places, and then come back to the States. I always thought I would live in Manhattan. Right? When you grow up north of Manhattan in Westchester, like you go to college and then come back and go live in Manhattan for your 20s and then, move somewhere else afterwards. So that's what I thought I was going to do. Go live in Latin America for 3 months, go back to New York afterwards. But after being in Central America for that 3-month internship, coming to Belize and loving it here, I thought I don't really need to rush to get back to the States anytime soon. It was exactly like the pictures looked, especially when you Google Belize and you see
Yeah.
the palm trees and the beautiful turquoise waters and the colorful marine life. And the people were just incredible. And in 2012, it was only 13 years ago, but it was a different world. We had really shoddy internet. Electricity went out here quite frequently.
Yeah.
Weren't like digital nomads weren't really a concept because our internet wasn't great and because the electricity wasn't great. So digital nomads weren't trying to come here to Belize to work because it wouldn't have been practical for them. So all of my friends were retirees, but there was just a really great network of people here that it felt so easy to stay. And then next thing you know, 3 months turns into a year, turns into 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I eventually met my husband. We have a son now who's Belizean. And so we're not going anywhere. This is home for us. But I think at the end of the day, regardless of where somebody ends up, at least for us, it's the people that make the place home, right? Of course, we love the warmth. We love the palm trees. It's so amazing to wake up every single morning, look out your window and see the turquoise waters and the reef and to know that we live in paradise where people dream about. But what really keeps us here is the community that we have built. And
Yeah.
it's a community of locals, it's a community of expats, even tourists that have come into our lives. And it's just something that we can't replicate anywhere else. And even after spending time, we were in New York for only a week over the holidays, but the lifestyle differences are so completely different here. It is so much more laid back.
Yeah.
There, everyone's in a rush, all the traffic and all the honking and people are running to get from point A to point B. We're here. All right, we have a little bit of golf cart traffic on Ambergris Key, but generally everyone is in a much better mood. They're not rushing to get anywhere. In fact, it's okay if they're late to work. It's okay. These things are okay. But at the end of the day, it's really the people that make it home. And so we're raising our son here. He is 2 at this point, and we've just felt that there's a really great community here to raise children and
Yeah.
an environment that we want him to grow up. We want him to grow up amongst. We want him to take his shoes off and go run barefoot in the sand and make sand castles with the other kids and go play on the playground and integrate with the community. And that's what we've been able to do pretty well here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, Thanks for sharing that. Just out of curiosity, I mean, being that down there for 13 years and adjusting to the pace of life, when you do go back, is it kind of almost like puzzling now? Do you ever say, I can't believe that we actually lived like this, in the past, or does it ever occur to you like something like that? Or
No, not necessarily because, I understand why it is like that in New York. And New York is one of the greatest, I truly think it's one of the greatest places in the world, right? One of the best places in the
yes,
world. There's so much business happening there. And you do need to be on the go, go, go to make things happen.
yes,
However, I've realized how my mentality has shifted. I'm like, it's not a big deal if we're late, right? We had a Christmas party. My mom wanted to leave the house by 3:20, and it was like 3:15, and we're still showering and blow drying our hair. And my mom's like, all right, we got to be in the car in 5 minutes. I'm like, but what's the big deal if we arrive to the Christmas party 30 minutes late? It's not really a big deal. And
yeah,
and that mind shift I have found was a big shift for me because I was never really like that before. Now, when it comes to business, I still like to be prompt. I know I was a couple of minutes late today, sorry, but I do still like to be prompt, and we're keeping that at least North American mentality when it comes to business. But
yeah,
when it comes to the lifestyle here, it is so different, and so I still respect how things are in the States. But I do understand that when people come here to Belize, it is going to be a mind shift change for them. And even if they're just coming on vacation, right?
yeah,
Waiting in line is common, waiting for your check because actually they don't bring you your check unless you ask for it when you're at a restaurant or waiting in line at the banks or whatever it is. Things don't necessarily happen quick here. We don't have all that rapid technology that, things can just happen at the snap of a finger,
yeah.
but is very much more people oriented.
Yeah, I'm just finding all of these people that I talk to all the time, and I talk to a lot of different retirees and expats all over the world, and a lot of times they share with me, whether it's on camera, off camera, that it's just too stressful now. It's become
Yep.
really high stress, so they're looking to slow things down. They're
Yep.
looking to find a place where they can slow down and kind of breathe again. Um,
It's true. And what we find is a lot of our friends who have moved down here and expats generally, they tell me that they get some of the best night's sleep here. Even people who are coming to look at property and they're here for only a few days, I'll pick them up in the morning. I'm like, how's your night last? I'm like, I slept great. I haven't slept this great in 15 years or whatever it is, because you don't have all that stress, right? You let that
yes,
all behind. You're coming here. But I will tell you from the people who do end up relocating here, because it's different from visiting somewhere, right? As a tourist to relocating and living. And so when you're making that change, what's really important for you to really think about and understand as you're making that transition from go, go, go to just relaxation, around day 10, you're probably going to be sitting on the beach twiddling your thumb bored, right? It's thinking about your hobbies, what you enjoy doing, what keeps you motivated, what gets you going, how do you feel good about yourself? Do you go to the gym? Is it yoga? Do you have book clubs? What do you do in the States or your home country? And then implement that or find those sort of groups here in Belize to feel like you're at home without actually having to have the stress of being at home.
yeah. All right. Well, let's dive into some of the stress-free living that Belize offers. Because first off is let's discuss the visa. Moving there, you got to obtain a visa or
Mm-hmm.
residency. What can you share about that?
Sure. So when you come into Belize as a tourist, you get a stamp in your passport for 30 days. It's very easy to extend that stamp. It costs $100 US per person to extend for another 30 days. Typically, when you go into the immigration office, they're going to ask you where your money's coming from and where you're staying. They want to ensure that if you're coming into the country and you're in the country as a tourist, that you're not working in Belize and that you're able to sustain yourself from money that you have elsewhere. So as long as you have that, they'll give you another stamp for 30 days. And I know people who've been in the country for years at this point, and they're still here on the tourist visa because maybe they never qualified for the retirement programs. They never were here long enough to qualify for them, whatever it was, but they just have not done it yet. So you can
Hmm.
do that as long as you're not working here for a Belize company in the country. Now,
Okay.
for people who want a little bit more security, there's two residency options. The first one is probably the most popular, and it's called the QRP, Qualified Retired Persons Program. And
Okay.
it's for anybody who's 40 years plus, and you just have to show that you have a retirement income or any sort of income coming in at $2,000 or more a month. So it can be rental income, it can be from inheritance, it can be whatever it is, and you just have to show that that's coming in to your bank account. You do have to transfer those funds to a Belize bank account, and then keep that going. It's an annual renewal. You cannot work in the country, but you can live here and not, so you don't have to go visit the tourist office or the residency office or immigration office is where I'm going
Yeah.
every days to get the stamp. Now, the other option for people who want to work here is that you have to be in country for a year. You can leave up to 14 days over that year, but you have to be here for that time. Once you fulfill that requirement, so with that year, you're going to be going to the immigration office and getting your stamp. And they're going to
Right.
say, "What are you doing?" You say, I'm applying for my residency in a year. I'm just getting my stamps." So they'll continue getting your stamps after you've been here for a year, leaving up to maximum 14 days. You can apply for your permanent residency. Once you have your permanent residency, then it allows you to work here. And I always recommend, though, if working or if having an income is important to you before you move down to the country or when you're here in the country, try to get a remote job in the States or your home country before you get here. Or, you can even do that process while you're here, because it's going to take some time to get a residency, to get a work permit, to do all of those sort of things that you're going to need to do to legally get a job here in Belize. And also, income is not the same. So minimum wage in Belize is $2.50 US an hour.
Hmm.
$2.50 an hour. So if you're expecting North American wages when you move down here to Belize, you're going to be so deeply disappointed. And also, Belizeans are going to prefer other Belizeans in a job or in that position over a North American or a foreigner. Even if you're beyond qualified, they're
Yeah.
going to prefer a Belizean, right? So
Hmm.
the best thing you can do is secure that money from abroad and then work remotely. So that would be
Okay.
my suggestion there. Now, there is a brand new residency that just came out, and it's an investor residency here. It's the first one that we have. We haven't had a true investor residency, well, in a really long time. And this one's a minimum of $500,000 US invested into the country. So land, real estate would qualify for that. And then
Okay.
from there, you're able to get your residency as well.
Okay. For clarification, the QRP is 2000 a month they have to prove. You
Yes.
indicated that you have to deposit that within a Belize bank account.
Yes.
How do you do that? Are most people just with their account back home? Are they just transferring money from their account, their bank account, into a
Mhm.
Belize account? Are they using Wise? Do you know? What's
Oh,
the
good question.
strategy to do this?
So typically what you would do is deposit $24,000 US into the bank account at the start of the year, and then
Okay.
that would suffice, right? Because it can get fairly expensive to be transferring money
Yes.
from US to Belize. So what people will do is they'll have the $24,000 set up from the beginning, wire that over to their bank accounts here in Belize. There are going to be some currency conversions, even though we're
Sure.
pegged to the dollar, but some wire fees, all that. But that way you don't have to do it every month. So I would
Okay.
for somebody to put that $24,000 in upfront. And then from there, they have it for the year. And then when the next year starts again, then they'll have to top up their balance. So 24 to be at
Okay.
20,000.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those that don't have the monthly income of 2000 a month, you can do this other process where you don't need any proof of income and you can live there for a year. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
once you've obtained a year of presence in Belize, you can apply for residency and there's no income proof, correct?
Correct. Now, what they are going to ask is where your money is coming from. Again, and the big reason for that is because they want to make sure that you're not working illegally. So they
Yeah,
will ask for a copy of your bank account statement, and not necessarily to say, oh, you don't have enough money, you can't be a resident here. But it's really just for them to go through the line items to make sure you're not getting any money from a Belize company.
sure.
But you will need to show that. And I always recommend, have a comfortable enough cushion in there for you to live without working, or, even if you are working remotely, that's fine too. But you
Yeah,
don't want to come to another country with absolute minimum balance, depending on getting a job here, because that you're going to set yourself up for so much more unnecessary stress that
yeah.
you're going to have enough stress from moving to another country, right? You don't need that whole stress of trying to get the documents in place and get it in time and have everything at the snap of a finger, because things don't happen at the snap of a finger here in Belize.
Is there a name for that particular visa?
Just permanent residency. It's just the
Permanent
permanent
residency. So it
residency.
sounds like that would be perfect for digital nomads that already have an online gig. They wouldn't be taking a job in Belize. They could go down. They don't even have to prove their income. They'll look to see if they're working. But
Yep.
is that right?
Yep, exactly. And they will, like I said, they will ask for a bank statement just to make sure that there's enough in there. There's not necessarily a minimum or anything along those lines, but But yep, I would say it's a great way to do it. And so you just also have to meet that time threshold, right? So being in the country for that first year, you can leave up to 14 days. If you don't meet that requirement, then they're not going to look at your application. So you just want to make sure you're meeting that time. Where at first I was like, oh man, a year is a long time. But over time, you realize a year for a permanent residency is not long at all. And
Right.
it's permanent. It's after the fifth year, you can apply for your citizenship. So if that's something that's important to you, you can apply for your naturalization, you can get your
Yeah.
passport. That process does take a few years though. So it's not like,
Hmm.
again, that doesn't happen overnight. But if that's something that's important to you is having that alternative passport, then you'd want to go that permanent residency route from the get-go.
Okay, great. Great information, Rachel. Okay, so okay, they figure out which visa or which option they're going to go. They're going to select, and then they move down and they're trying to figure out where to live. Where
Yes.
do people coming from the US and Canada, what part of Belize do they move to?
Yes, great question. So I would say Ambergris Key is where I'm at, and this is the number one tourist and expat destination here in the country. And the big reason for that is because there's the reef that parallels the island, and so it's huge for diving, snorkeling, fishing. And I refer to Ambergris Key as the Key West of Belize. So
Okay.
for somebody who, you like water activities, but you like activities, you want to be around other expats, you want to join a pickleball club, for example, you want to join a book club, you want a ton of options, this is a great place for that. Now, I will say the other alternative, if you're looking for a coastal sort of experience, would be Placencia. Placencia is
Okay.
on the mainland. It's about 2.5, 3 hours south of Belize City. And in Placencia, I refer to that as like the Montauk or the Hamptons of Belize, right? Of the country. So one of the big differences between Ambergris Key and Belize is Ambergris Key, because we have the reef paralleling the island, we can't get big boats or yachts here on the island. So for
Hmm.
the people who are big into the boating community and they want to bring their big boat or their yacht down to the country with them, Placencia is the place to be for that. That's where you have the marinas. That's where you have the deep waters. That's where you have a lot of canal front properties where you can park your boat and do all of that. But here we don't typically see those big boats here on Ambergris Key.
Hmm.
And even just walking around Placencia, it feels different than Ambergris. Ambergris Key, it's very colorful. It's very lively. There's just a lot of variety. Placencia, you see bigger homes. It just feels different. And then also, if you're looking for more of that jungle sort of environment,
Hmm.
then jungle, rivers, be close to Mayan ruins, maybe live off grid. People are looking at the Cayo district, Cayo. And the Cayo district, it's a fantastic part of the country where your dollar goes much further than it would in a place like Placencia or Ambergris Key. When you're in coastal towns, anywhere along the water, just expect to pay a premium for it. But when
Okay.
you go inland, your dollar can stretch further. So you can get larger tracts of land. Because the country here only has a population of about 400,000 people. And size wise, it's about the size of Massachusetts. There's a lot
Hmm.
of land, a lot of open land, a lot of larger tracts of land where if you want to farm, if you want to garden, if you want to live off grid, have your own homestead, then Cayo District would be a great place for that. And
Hmm.
then last but not least, I would also say Corozal. Corozal is on the northern part of the country, and it's actually the border town to Mexico. So healthcare, which I know we'll get into, healthcare is still, it's getting better all the time here in Belize, but Mexico is known to have some really great healthcare just right across the border in Chetumal and in other big cities like Merida. So for people who I would say are looking for a quieter fishing village, we'll say, who want close access to Mexico, you can be in Mexico in 15 minutes, then they're congregating up there in the Corozal area. And Corozal, you do have some bay waters. You don't necessarily have the reef because you're within a bay over there. So it's calm, it's very pretty, but it is a quieter area. What I tend to find is people who've lived here on Ambergris Key for a long time, they're getting older, a lot more concerned about their health care. They're starting to move up to Corozal to have
Okay.
that close access to Mexico. But I've also had a lot of clients who've gone up to Corozal first and they're like, oh no, it's way too quiet, right? So I want to go a little bit more where it's lively, where there's more live music, where there's more happening. And so they'll go into places like Placencia or here on Ambergris Key.
Hmm.
But I would say those would be the four areas. So to recap, it was Ambergris Key, Placencia, Cayo District, and Corozal.
Okay. And in the Cayo district, how far away is that from the beach?
So it depends where in the Cayo district you are. So it's about an hour to 2.5 hours, just depending
Okay.
where in Cayo you are to get to the beach.
Okay.
Now, I would say Belmopan is the capital of the country, and that's at the beginning part of the Cayo district. So if you're leaving from Belmopan to get to Hopkins or get to go back to Belize City or whatnot, you're a little bit closer.
Yeah. So that's actually not too bad. I mean, if people want to have a farm, but yet
Mhm.
still have access to the beach, you could do day trips in parts of the Kaya district easily.
Yep. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Hopkins, Hopkins is a great little place. I didn't touch upon Hopkins, but Hopkins is a small Garifuna town that's just north of Placencia. And it's a small population, about 3,000 people there, but it's cute, it's quaint. Land values are also a lot more affordable than comparable places like Placencia, but it doesn't have as much action. It doesn't have, the big boating community necessarily there. They do have the City River, which does have a marina, so you can have a bigger boat, but I would say if boating is more important to you, then you'd be in the Placencia
Yeah.
town.
Okay. All right, great. So let's break down the rents in all of these areas. So what area
Yes.
is the most affordable? What area is a little bit more upscale?
Yep.
And what can you get rentals for in these areas?
Okay, great question. I did prepare a couple of slides. I'm going to just pull that up on my screen here so people can see it. It makes it just a little bit
Oh,
easier.
look at you, Rachel.
Let me resume here. Everyone should be able to
You're
see
you're like
it
a
here.
you're like a professor. I love
Oh,
this.
But I'm a very visual person, so I think it helps, at least for me, when I'm talking about it with you, to be able to see the numbers right there. So I hope it's helpful for people who are tuning in here too. But so
Yeah.
the numbers that I put here in the next few slides are really going to be based on Ambergris Key. And
Okay.
Ambergris Key, like we mentioned, it's going to be the number one tourism destination. It's the biggest expat center for expats. So with that in mind, just realize it's going to be more expensive than other areas. I would
Okay.
say Placencia and Ambergris Key are probably pretty comparable, but places like San Ignacio and Corozal, you can expect them to be less than these numbers. So this
Okay.
is on the more expensive end for the entire country,
Okay.
but any inland or elsewhere will be less. Okay, so renting, if you're looking to rent on Ambergris or Placencia, you're looking at about 900 to 1,400 US a month for a one-bedroom condo. If you're
Okay.
looking for a two-bedroom, you're about 1,400 to 2,000 a month. If you're looking for something that's like really luxury and right there on the beach, you're looking at about $2,500 a month plus
Okay.
utility. So typically pay your water, your internet, your cable, all of that. If you're owning, you can typically own a one-bedroom condo for about 150 to 300,000. The higher end of those numbers are beachfront properties or properties that have water views. Two
Okay.
bedroom condos, it's a big range, but like 350 to 900,000 US. And
Okay.
again, that's maybe not necessarily on the water, but the higher end there is the real luxury, 3,000 square foot travertine tiles, teak ceilings for 900,000.
Okay. Quick question. How much is
Yeah.
typically the HOA and property tax per year?
Woohoo, HOA, that varies. I've seen HOAs as low as 150 a month,
Okay.
going as high as 1,500 a month.
Okay.
And what the reality is, though, is that each HOA includes something different. Some include water, some include garbage pickup, some include, security, some have amenities that are all taken care of. So it really just depends what's included in that property. Property taxes, though, are minimal here. It's based on the value of the unimproved land, so it doesn't matter what's built on the property. But I would say typically condos are anywhere to $300 to $600 a year, and
Okay.
then especially if it's off grid or it's not really, it's a little bit further from town, you're typically looking 75 to $100 a year.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great
Very
info.
affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, very affordable.
Okay. What do we have next?
All right. So coming up next, utilities, right? So this is what we were talking about in that last slide, is what are my utilities going to look like? So electricity is one of the biggest consumers, is one of the most expensive items here
Okay.
because this is more expensive. All of our electricity actually comes in from Mexico. So electricity is going anywhere from
Interesting.
100 to $700 a month, depending on how much of it you use. AC, like I've been here 13 years, but I still need my air conditioner every time I'm going to bed. Even when I'm making dinner, I need that AC going. And so we always have multiple ACs going. So we're on the higher end. But
Yeah.
for some who, you can open windows, you have that nice constant breeze coming in. I know people who've acclimated after being here for a year, and maybe they'll put the AC on 27 degrees Celsius to sleep, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
done your usage entirely. For water, we have public water, and then we also have like cistern water. Public water typically about $25 US a month for 1 to 2 people, and then increases from there depending on how many people are there. But we also have the off-grid water, which is typically rainwater catchment systems and
Hmm.
cisterns. A lot of the country does not actually have public water. So some villages, they'll have their own cistern rainwater catchment that they distribute. I know in Bullet Tree, which is in the Cayo district, we have a house out there, and our water bill is $10 Belize flat a month.
Hmm.
It's $5 US a month. We're on our village water, but being on village water, sometimes, like, you think about the hour that everyone's getting ready for work, like 7 to 8 in the morning,
Yeah.
the water may be really bad, right? Because everyone has their faucets turned on. So you can have a backup system, or if you have that cistern, then you're only depending on rainwater coming in. And we have plenty of rainwater here that typically, if your cistern's large enough, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
But in case you run out of water, you do have water trucks that will deliver water to you.
Okay. All right.
Propane, yeah, for 40 gallon, you're looking at about, just round up, $40 US. All of these numbers are in US dollars, by the way.
Okay.
Um, internet, depending on your package, $45 to $90 a month, and then your cell phone about $45 a month for pretty much unlimited everything. So
Okay.
this is more again on the higher end. These
Yeah.
sort of don't really matter where in the country you are. Internet is what internet is, cell phone is whatever that is. But it just more so depends on the package that you have and what it is that you're looking for. But a lot of times, especially digital nomads or people who are very dependent on internet, they're like, but how's the internet? I'm like, well, we run our entire business. Well, not entire, a lot of it's out in the field, right? But a majority of our business, like these kind of calls or initial Zoom calls or doing webinars, that's all through internet. So we
Yeah.
depend just as much as other people.
Yeah.
And we knock wood, never had a problem. Not, I won't say never, never is a strong word. Typically don't have a problem.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
It's pretty.
Um, okay. We're on food and groceries. So
Yeah, you let me know if you have any other
yeah,
rhythm that you.
I want to go back to real estate and
Oh yeah,
rentals
yeah,
in a
go ahead.
little
Let's
bit.
go. Uh-huh.
Okay. So are there any places in Belize that you're aware of that the viewers that are watching right now can find a rental for 500, 600 a month, and they can walk down to the beach and live like the bohemian lifestyle that many, think about, dream about living in Belize. Is that still possible?
Mhm. To walk to a beach, it's a little bit more difficult. Now, you may find some places in Corozal, which is the northern part of the country that we're talking about that borders Mexico, but you may not necessarily have the sort of amenities that you're anticipating, right? So hot water, for example, air conditioning, those are two that as North Americans, we just expect. If you're coming in and you're looking for more of the budget type places, then you may not necessarily get those sort of amenities with it. Now, on the island on Ambergris Key here, we have local housing as well, and that's typically $200 Belize a week. It's a weekly rate, so 100 US, right?
Yeah.
So you can find the local housing here, but you're not going to have those sort of utilities that we talked about, the hot water. You're not going to have the air conditioning. You're going to be amongst 15
Yeah.
other units. You may not have a full kitchen. You'll probably have barking dogs next door and chickens running around behind you. So it just depends how it is that you want to live. If you're expecting to live like a king, or a queen on 500 to 600 a month for housing on Ambergris or Placencia, it's going to be more difficult. But if
Yeah.
you're willing to compromise a little bit on areas in the mainland, you can certainly find good deals. And especially if you're willing to compromise a little bit. I know there's a handful of hostels. You can do private room hostels for a few months at a time until you get it figured out. And that you can typically do very affordably. So it's not out of the question, but it will take a little bit more research.
You're talking, if you're going to find a price like that, you're not going to have any, it's going to be really bare bones.
It's gonna be, yeah, you're gonna be compromising on some expectations, we'll say.
Yeah.
So as long as you go in with that, that's completely fine. We've had clients who that's exactly what they're looking for, and
Hmm.
so happy with what they're able to get. They're able to wake up in the morning and walk to the beach in a couple of minutes and not be breaking the bank doing so. They're able to spend their money on experiences and food and whatnot, and not necessarily on housing.
Okay. Is there anywhere in Belize at all any longer that you can buy something and purchase real estate for under 100,000, where you find these really great deals where
Sure.
you're right near the beach or you can walk right down to the beach?
Yes, yes. And I'm hesitating a little bit because it's not always beach, right? I think sometimes people think Belize and they're always thinking beachfront, but there are really great parts of the country that aren't necessarily beachfront or beach communities, like the Cayo district, for example. There you can find real estate for 125,000, brand new home, right? Two-bedroom home on half an acre of land. That's definitely possible, right? But if you're trying to find that beachfront property, you can find condos every now and again here on Ambergris for 100, 110,000. You can find them, but again, it depends on what your expectation is and what you're going to be
Mhm.
getting for that. Because every year we do see real estate here just continuing to get more expensive,
Yeah.
and of course, as more foreigners are coming in with the money, right? There's the demand, there's little supply, so it just keeps getting pricier.
Yeah. How
But
about Hopkins?
Hopkins, it's still, I mean, still Hopkins is getting more expensive, right?
Okay.
So you're expecting to have a beachfront property for 100,000, it's not happening, right?
Gotcha.
Beachfront land, just land alone is more than $100,000. So you're gonna have
Mhm.
to be a little bit of a distance or compromise on something when it comes to buying that 100 to 150,000
If
range.
you're like 4 or 5 blocks away from the water in like a
Mhm.
place like Hopkins, can you still find any kind of apartments or condos to purchase for less?
Well, it's a funny question because there actually aren't many condos in
Okay.
Hopkins. This is a great business for somebody who is looking to get in the development space here, where building affordable condos a few blocks from the beach would be fantastic because the new properties that are going up are luxury,
Okay.
right? The high-end luxury properties. But I think it's a great business idea. And yes, to go back to your question, there are some. They don't pop up often, but there are some every now and again that just, of course, continue to go up over time. But yep, great business idea. I think you got to come down to Belize and act on
Yeah.
it.
Well, okay, so we're looking at really you're looking at it if you're lucky and you're down there and you're looking, you may be able to find something under 100K if you're lucky, but you got to be down there. Sounds like you really got to be looking and you got to be down there.
Down
Um,
there, or you have a good real estate agent who knows exactly what you want, and then that way when it pops up, they're able to get it to you immediately also, right? And
so
it's funny, the real estate market is funny here because we don't have an MLS, right?
yeah,
We don't, it's a lot of like conversations between agents and brokers. Half the time listings never even make it to websites, right? Because they've already sold before they even get to that point of getting media. But that's why I think having that agent that understands what you're looking for is probably the most important.
so where can you find a good real estate agent, Rachel?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know a few. No, well, I will tell you. So I've been in the real estate space here for 13 years, and so we've seen a lot of people come and go, right? I think the biggest thing when I'm talking to clients too, and we tell people to interview real estate agents because this is going to be one of the biggest purchases of your life. So you want to make sure that the person that you're working with understands you, they understand what you're looking to accomplish, they understand your timeline, your goals. That means you also have to be honest with them about what you can do, right?
Yeah,
Don't hold back from sharing the information with your realtor. Share that so that they have a realistic idea of what you're looking to do. But time in the country, I know sometimes like, well, it doesn't really matter how long you've been here. I don't find that necessarily to be true because here it's a relationship based country, and because we don't have an MLS, we don't have a lot of the sort of real estate tools that are available in North America. Here, it's all about the connections. Who does your real estate agent know? Do they get along with all the other real estate agents? Do they
yeah,
play nice inbox? How long have they been here? Because that is going to be a good indicator of what they're able to offer to you. So
yeah.
just ask the questions. Why, what motivates you to do real estate? How long have you been in the industry? Do you work well with other real estate agents? Because a lot of real estate agents here also will only show you their listings
Yeah,
because we don't less, right? So
right.
you want to ask those sort of questions, but interview them. I mean, you should always have that first initial interview with them to make
Yeah.
sure that's the right fit for you.
What's the name of your company again?
Oh, sure. We're Luna Realty Belize. Luna
Okay.
Realty.
And I'm going to
Mhm.
put the link in the description for people that want to schedule and talk to
Sure.
you.
Of
Um,
course. Oh, that'd be great. That'd
yeah.
be great. And we have so many resources. So, I worked with a real estate developer here for 10 years. And then I realized there was just this really big hole in the market for the educational piece.
Yes.
And so many people were interested in Belize, but had never either been here before or didn't know what it was like to be buying property as a foreigner. So I left the development company. I realized there's so much opportunity here. I left the development company, started the real estate company. We were really education focused. So we have so many resource guides. And I know one of them, Ray, that we have for folks that we put together for folks that are listening here. We can put that link in the description below. It's the buyer's guide to what you need to know about buying real estate in Belize. But
Okay.
that one is so important for people to review and go through. But that was our goal, was to educate the clients, make sure they're aware of what the process looks like, and then from there help them find the right property.
Yeah, it's really it's fun to meet and talk to all these people like you because excuse me, there's so many expats that move abroad and then the light bulb goes off for what's missing and what can be added and done better in
Yep.
this place, and then they bring this knowledge and experience from back home to wherever they're living and they start businesses. Many, many people that live abroad are like you. They find a niche and a way to help and support, and then they start a business. And this is now what you do to survive in Belize. I think it's outstanding. And you made it home. You fell in love with Belize. So you're the real deal expat. You're the person who moved down there. You fell in love with it. You built community. And you're right. The people, when you connect with the people always make the place. And it's really, really important. And you just look like you're having fun and enjoying what you're doing, and you just love the life down there. All right, so we left off with utilities,
Yes.
Rachel, and then groceries. Um,
Uh-huh.
okay, eating out. So
Yes.
there's so many places to eat out, and you got this kind of bohemian, laid back Caribbean vibe down there. What do people pay for, a Caribbean meal?
Yes. So you can eat locally, right? And here the local dish is stewed chicken with rice and beans, stewed pork with rice and beans. Rice and beans is absolutely a staple here. And so if you're eating locally, you can expect about $6 to $12 US a meal in order to eat like that. And you get a big, big plate. Now you can also live like a tourist. And if
Mhm.
you're living with a tourist, and actually let me pull up my screen because
Okay.
I do have a slide for this one. And this one we're gonna be view full screen mode. Here we go. All right, so it's $6 to $12 at local hotspots, and then if you are dining out like at a touristy place, you're looking at about $20 to $50 US, plus more if you're drinking more. So I will tell you, alcohol is expensive here. It's taxed fairly heavily, so
Okay.
people stop at the duty free store before they come in. But if you are somebody who likes a few cocktails at nighttime, then maybe pull bring that liquor in with you from duty free. Otherwise, it's going to certainly add up when you get to a restaurant. But you
Mhm.
can eat out here very, very affordably. Last night, we got back from New York last night and we're just tired and didn't want to cook, didn't want to really have a sit down. So we got two street burgers, cheeseburgers, we got a hot dog for our son, and then my husband got two really, really big burritos, and it cost us about $13 US for all of that.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's delicious. It's actually, I prefer the street burgers over burgers from restaurants. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're so good. But you can still eat like that, and you don't want it to be every night because it might not be the healthiest, but it's just an easy quick fix.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So my next question
Uh-huh.
is getting around. So
Yeah.
based on Ambergris Key, Placencia, Cayo District,
Yep.
Cortisol, Hopkins. I mean,
Yep.
is there public transportation or would somebody moving down to Belize need a car?
It depends where you are. So if you're in some of the bigger towns, they do typically have bus systems. Buses may not be super reliable, but they do come and they are very affordable. In places like Ambergris Key or Key Cocker and even parts of Placencia, you will find that people have golf carts. Here, actually, on Ambergris Key and Key Cocker, it's nearly impossible to get a permit for a car, for a
Okay.
vehicle. So most people here, 99% of people who have vehicles are driving golf carts.
Okay.
And people can either import golf carts. You do need to go through the whole permitting process and registration process. You can buy one here. Typically, if you're buying one here, you're looking at about 6,000 to about 10,000 US for a used golf cart. New golf carts, it's about 15,000 to 20,000 US
Wow.
golf cart. Oh, I know. And listen to this.
That's
So if you want
crazy.
I
That's
know,
crazy high.
and and you have, I forget that all the time. And then listen to this: the rental. If you're looking to long term rent a golf cart,
Yeah.
during high season, like right now we're in high season, we're in peak season, it's the holidays, tourists are everywhere, golf cart companies are out of golf carts. You're looking at about 650 US a month to rent a golf cart,
Wow.
because the golf cart companies would rather be renting them to tourists, getting $100 a day, right,
Yeah.
than renting it to you and at a discounted rate. But with that being said, you have to take that shift, like a shift of perspective, and realize this is my vehicle, right? What was I going to spend in the States for a vehicle? This is my vehicle here. You have to remember things are all imported here to Belize as well.
Yeah.
Club cars, golf carts, Polaris, Rangers, mules, they're not created here. So anything that gets imported into the country is going to have a higher price tag. It has
Yeah.
the customs, the duties, the general sales tax, the environmental tax, all of that gets placed on the item before it even gets here to the island, before it's barged off to the island. So
Yeah.
change that mind shift a little bit. But otherwise, biking, like there are a lot of people here who ride bikes, and not just here on the island, but generally around the country, or people who do ride sharing, right? Where
Hmm.
maybe your friend has a car and you can borrow the car or whenever they're going to the grocery store. But if it's really important for you to be, you don't want a golf cart right away, you don't want a vehicle right away, then be within an area that is easy enough to walk to or easy enough to get to a bus stop,
Yeah.
or befriend a cab driver. I mean, that's something too. We have a cab driver on speed dial for when our golf carts break down, or whenever we're on the mainland and one of our cars isn't working or something. We always have a taxi cab on speed dial. And on the mainland, it's going to be more affordable in areas like Coyote, Corozal. But when you're looking at the touristy areas like Ambergris Caye, Placencia, even parts of Hopkins, it is going to be a little bit more expensive. But you can find some really great properties that are within walking distance. One of our friends, Christy, I'll send her this afterwards. She ended up purchasing a condo about a mile south of downtown San Pedro here. And she just moved here, right? She's like, I don't want to have to deal with the golf cart thing. I want to be able to walk wherever I need to go. And so she can walk a lot of places, but to go to places like the internet, it's going to be a bit of a distance for her. So there's actually a
Hmm.
new bus system that just got installed. So she actually got the bus driver's phone number, and the bus driver said, "Oh, just call me whenever you want to ride, right? And I'll
Yeah.
pick you up right over in this area that's close to your house." So that's what I was saying before, is this is a very relationship-based country. So
Hmm.
when you take the time to get to know the people, then you'll find things just get a whole lot easier.
I would think that electric bikes would be taking off there too.
Oh, they're starting to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like scooters, but people are getting away from gas scooters and they're
Uh-huh.
buying electric bikes because electric bikes can go 30 miles an hour and get you around anywhere.
Oh, it's incredible. Well, I'll tell you, folks, if you're on Ambergris Caye, you don't want to go 30 miles an hour. We got a lot of potholes and speed bumps and everything,
Hmm.
but you are going at the flow of traffic with those e-bikes, and it is impressive. It is
Yeah. Yeah.
impressive.
All right. The next thing, Rachel, thanks for that, is things to do. So what do you do in Belize? Come on. What do you do?
Yep.
You
You know,
got
it's
this
a
crystal clear water. It's some of the most amazing. What is it? The second largest reef in the
in the
world?
world. In the
Yeah.
world. And that's a great question. And I'll tell you, honestly, I'm not really a water bug. I did get my diving certification about 10 years ago, stopped diving maybe 7 years ago because I could never clear my ears. So I would
Uh,
just get a life jacket and float above the reef. You can still see plenty that way. But getting in the water, like for us here on the water, boat days are so common. Get a group of friends together, go to the sandbars on the back part of the island, pack lunch, have a barbecue. That's just a
mm,
standard for us. Even just going fishing, right? Go do some deep sea fishing, get the tuna. Let's go back and make some fresh sushi. Very
yeah.
normal to do here.
Mm,
Also on the mainland, like there are a lot of waterfalls and caves and Mayan ruins, and so just going to those sort of excursions, like a lot of expats, a lot of tourists, a lot of expats and locals are doing a lot of the same things that the tourists are doing, right? But we
mhm,
just get to enjoy it. It's our backyard, and we're doing it frequently.
mhm.
Even just getting together with friends, it's just like it is in the States or your home country. You get to know people in your neighborhood, your community. You get together, you have your Sunday barbecues. Sunday is a big family day here, so you're going to
Mm,
see families taking off to go to the beach, or they're going to be taking off to go to the Mayan ruins or go to the waterfalls with their families, and it's a
mhm.
really beautiful part of the culture.
Yeah. What does it cost to rent a boat to go on the other side of the islands and hang out?
It depends on who you know,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah.
they say it's good to have two sets of friends that own bars and boats.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do, folks. Come down here and find the friends that own bars and boats. But typically, if you have a friend with a boat, they'll just charge you for gas and a captain.
Yeah.
But it can range if you haven't had that sort of friendship built yet, then you're
Sure.
probably at about 350 US, and then
Okay.
you just amongst everyone that goes.
Yeah. And how much is it? Do you have any idea what it costs to become certified as a diver there now? What they're charging?
Gosh, I did it about 10 years ago. I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Okay.
I don't want to give wrong numbers, but they do have diving certification classes. And then
Yes.
after, if you do go back and dive with those companies, and they typically give you discounts. Like
Yeah.
Amigos Del Mar, for example, you get a free usage of the equipment if you got
Mhm.
certified and you go back and dive there. So you can use their BC, you can use their fins, you can even use their mask and all of that
Nice.
without any charge.
Yeah, and I know it's a lot less expensive than getting certified in the US. That's why a lot of people go down to
Yes.
Belize to get certified. And plus, you're diving in some of the most spectacular
Oh, it's
waters. Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, the are just absolutely incredible there. And you got the big blue hole, which is famous. I've
Mm-hmm.
never been to the big blue hole, but I gotta dive there one day. Um, okay,
Yes.
Rachel, the last thing we have is healthcare. So
Hmm.
for everybody that moves down to Belize, they're always concerned about healthcare. You've been there 13 years. What do you do about healthcare? What are the retirees that you're friends with doing about healthcare?
Yep. So it depends where in the country you are because it's a small country, population about 400,000 people. That's the size of a small city in the United States, right? So we don't necessarily have all of the specialists in all of the towns, all of the villages, all the cities. We just don't have that because there's not the demand for it. So what you'll find is specialists tend to be centered in Belize City and Orange Walk. Belize
Okay.
City and Orange Walk is where you tend to find the specialists. Now, for us, we have on Ambergris Key here. We do have a private hospital, and then we also have a handful of clinics. And the clinics, there's one north of the bridge, and they'll typically bring in a different specialist every day. So if you want to see a dermatologist, you can book them for Tuesday. If you want to see the OBGYN, you can book them for Thursday, right? If you want to see whatever it is. And so typically, I mean, most of us don't have health insurance here because the cost of going and paying out of pocket is minimal. Seeing a
Okay.
specialist is probably about $30 US. Um, and then also depending on what you want to do. Like dentist, for example, I chipped my tooth right here. You can't really tell, which is a good thing, but I chipped the tooth. I ended up going to the dentist here on the island. He filled it all in and looks pretty good, I think, for
Yeah.
about $7 Belize, so $35 US. And so those things we just tend to pay out of pocket. Now, of course,
Okay.
if there's anything, larger surgery wise that you need to do, you'll go to Belize City. And Belize City, that's where they have a handful of great clinics. Belize Healthcare Partners is the one that our family uses. They're fantastic. Belize Medical Associates is also there. They're fantastic. We had a friend who got heart stent put in Belize City, actually in the public hospital, Carl Husner,
Uh-huh.
because the hospital was getting doctors in from the United States. So if you needed a surgery and it was enough time where you could schedule it, you were getting surgery done from North American doctors for a fraction of what it would have cost in the States. But with that being said, there's also international health insurance programs that you can do, like Bupa is one, BUPA, and then Cigna is the other one, CIGNA, and it's specifically for expats who are living abroad. So you have
Hmm.
to, share where you were born, you have to share the country that you're living in, and a few other details. If you have any pre-existing conditions, of course, the standards for insurance, and then based on all of those details, they'll give you a monthly rate. Or if you're specifically looking for something in Belize, there are a couple of the hospitals, like Belize Healthcare Partners, for example, they do have their own insurance program. And Belize Healthcare Partners, they have every single doctor there that you could possibly want. So
Hmm.
there's options, and it's getting better all the time. I will
Yeah.
say that, because now, and they're building a public hospital here in Ambergris, which is huge. As for the two sister islands, Key Cocker and Ambergris Key, that's huge. But having the improvements is fantastic. It's what we need for tourism. It's what we need just for people living here generally, whether you're local, you're an expat. And as the population continues to grow, there's a big demand for improved healthcare. So we are seeing that in the works.
Yeah. Do you know what your friend paid for that stent being put
Oh,
in?
no,
Any
but
idea?
I can certainly ask. And I mean, I know that they're on a budget, right? So I think it was affordable enough for them to be able to do it. Where I mean, I don't think they would have not done it, right? But I'll
Sure.
ask.
Yeah.
Let me ask, and I can get the details to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm just always curious about what the cost is that they pay. Did he pay out of pocket or did he have some form of insurance? Do you know?
No insurance. I know he has no
No.
insurance. Yeah,
Okay.
most of our expat friends here don't have insurance. So
Okay.
they'll tend to pay out of pocket. It's typically about, I'd say 20 to 30% the cost of what it is compared to the States.
Do you know anybody that's gotten like in an accident, had to stay in a hospital for like a week or so, and then paid out of pocket a bill and what the cost of that was? Any idea? Or
I've honestly never asked them what their bills are. But they always say, oh, very affordable, very affordable. So, I mean, everyone has their own version of what affordable is too, right? But no, I
true.
unfortunately
Yeah.
I don't have
Okay.
any real examples there.
Okay. All right. Well, great, Rachel. That is everything. This has been fantastic. Is there anything else you can think of that we didn't discuss that could be valuable to the viewers considering living or retiring in Belize?
Oh, sure. I think the best piece of advice that I have is to pack your patience. Understand when you're coming to Belize, this is a country that has been independent from England since 1981. So it's still fairly young compared to other countries in the world, and they're still figuring things out. So something one day may be completely different another day, but at the end of the day, it's really the people that will make the experience. So just make sure that when you're coming into the country, you're treating everyone well. And because it's a small population, you tend to find that like all these people in different departments in different parts of the country are related to each other.
Hmm.
So, make sure you're on your best behavior. But at the end of the day, it's just taking that step back, breathing, realizing that you are here in a beautiful country, a very welcoming environment, beautiful community, and great people. And it's really what you choose for it to be. And, we encourage everyone to come down. Of course, come down, see it. Belize is nestled in between Mexico and Guatemala. We have direct flights from various cities within North America. From New York, it's about 4 hours. From Houston, it's about 2 hours. We have Miami, Charlotte, Chicago, LA, Seattle. Montreal was just added from Canada, Toronto, Calgary, and
Yeah.
more are always coming online. So it's absolutely worth a visit if you haven't had the chance to see it yet. It's a stunning country, turquoise waters,
Yeah.
jungles, incredible wildlife, incredible people. But thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk more about Belize. It's a place that we really do call home and is home for us. So we love to
Yeah.
help people
Well,
make it.
yeah. Well, thank you, Rachel. It's been a pleasure again. Great seeing you. Glad you're doing really well. And you have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye.